Happy Sunday. You were listening to Rainbow Radio. In My Humble Opinion with Niceguy Eddie is coming up next. I am joined this afternoon by two guests. My first is a songwriter, musician, percussionist, producer, and recording artist. I am very happy to be joined today by superstar Issa. Issa, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
So I'd like you to tell us a bit about your background, because you have been all over pretty much every aspect of the music industry here.
I sure have. Well, I'm currently an advanced music artist, producer, writer, musician. I currently have a single out called Superstar that I'm very thrilled about. All the excitement surrounding the release, doing quite well. Wonderful remixes by some top remixers. So I'm very happy about that. It's out right now. It's called Superstar. And the remix EP called Superstar Remixes will be releasing on August 10th.
August 10th.
So that'll be available for purchase at all online stores. Definitely check it out.
Absolutely.
Getting great radio support, DJ support, thanks to Barbara Sobel and Sobel Promotions.
Okay. And why don't we? I guess why don't we go ahead and give that single a spin right now, just to get everyone started, see what we're talking about. You'd mentioned earlier that the Julian Marsh remix was a particularly popular one, so we'll go ahead and run that now.
Let's check it out.
Is the
Okay, and you said the full EP is due out on August 10th. Is that right?
It is the remix EP, Superstar the Remixes.
All right. Now now I mentioned earlier that you've been on both sides of the mic, both sides of the stage, so to speak. How did you get your start, and what roles have you played over the years?
Yeah, well, I'm a Los Angeles native, born and raised in Hollywood. Have been in music right from the start due to my father being a musician.
Mhm.
So ever since I was a little kid, I was introduced to music straight away. So I went into, pursuing my own career as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
I got major publishing deal at EMI, music publishing, and, fronted a band and did a lot of great stuff in the local Los Angeles music scene.
Yep.
Back in those days. So that's where I really got my start, if you will, pursuing an artist career,
Mm-hmm.
and ended up getting into touring as a percussionist for other artists and other bands, did some, international touring, and then went into production, running my own studio, working for major and independent labels, all kinds of artists doing producing and remix work, which is where I got more into the house music dance world. So I got into the production and started moving away a bit from being the artist, if you will.
Yeah.
And moving further, I wanted to explore and got hired by music industry companies. So I ended up working for various booking agencies, management companies, record labels, and so it took a bit of a turn and worked more on the other side of the business, which
Right.
I really enjoyed. I learned a lot, and it's just a different perspective. So I was still in the creative world of music, but I was working with other artists,
Yeah.
and pushing and promoting other artists. So I took a break for some years, and which was phenomenal. And interestingly, just coming back to my roots, and I launched a record label, independent label, to release my own productions
Mm-hmm.
and collaborations with other artists. Launched Issa Music.
Yep.
And started releasing just this year.
And that's
started releasing a couple singles.
the website for that?
It's issamusic.net.
Issamusic.net.
ISSA music.net.
Okay.
You can find all my details there. There's links to my social media from there. You can see, videos. You can see everything on the site, issamusic.net. Definitely check it out, and you'll be able to find all the future news on my official website.
Great. And I did see, I saw on your Facebook feed recently, it was a picture of you getting back to your roots, getting back on the drums. Was that part of this production, or is that just off?
Yes, playing the drums. I'm a percussionist, so I play congas, bongos, djembe, djembe, just all kinds of hand percussion. I really am a drummer at the core. When I produce tracks, the drums are where I start. For me, that's the root of all evil.
Well, yeah. If you're doing club music and house music, that's where it starts, really.
It does, and that's just kind of how I learned music from a very young age. What? And my father's side of the family, where I get my music roots from, is extremely creative. It's pretty crazy, actually. My aunt was June Fairchild, who is quite a well-known Hollywood cult film actress. She's best known for her role as the Ajax lady in the Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke movie.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, unfortunately, she just passed away this year in February. But my father's side of the family really has some very innovative, creative energy, if you will. A distant descendant on their side of the family is the inventor of the Morse code, Samuel Morse.
Oh, wow.
So I find that interesting, and, I think maybe that's where I got a little bit of this bug.
Sure. Well, and I'm curious, you take me all the way back to the beginning. You started out on drums.
I did. Because my dad used to teach me little beats. I'm talking like 3 years old type of thing. Right away playing little beats on the breakfast table, and
yep.
Literally, my mother was like, what is going on here, but I had rhythm, and
yep.
later, 10, 11 or whatever ages, somewhere in there, I actually started taking guitar lessons, and I just had like a natural ability for music. I remember taking piano lessons when I was a little kid, 6 years old or whatever it was, and I knew everything by ear. The teacher would bring a piece of music, and I wouldn't even read the music. I just knew how to play it, by ear. So I just had that natural ability and took it to the next level. My main thing really has always been and still is songwriting. To me, songwriting, really creating the song. It's all about the song at the end of the day, because you can produce it in any million different genres and subgenres, and it can last forever. It's timeless. The song is the song. So I'm really, really, at the end of the day, a songwriter.
Now you mentioned, your father encouraged you early on, and that he was also in a musician. What was he a percussionist as well, or what did he? What was his background?
He never, he was a local Los Angeles drummer. He did a lot in the jazz world, like more of a local jazz singer. He kind of was really into that crooner, like Frank Sinatra. That was more his thing.
Okay. In my opinion, all the best drummers are jazz drummers. So
yeah, and like he used to always play Billie Holiday, and that's what I used to listen to. As a young, as a child. So. Right. I definitely had a nice soundtrack to my childhood.
So is that? I mean, would you count that amongst your influences then, or what would you say your influences are then and now?
My two ultimate biggest influences growing up were, without a doubt, David Bowie and Grace Jones. Their unique and distinct vocal styles, their expression through fashion and visual stimulation, their commanding, hypnotic performance styles, the cutting-edge music production, their androgynous personas, the ahead of their time factor, all of this and more were attributes that deeply resonated with me. I connected with and related to 100%.
Right.
Both Bowie and Grace Jones had a huge impact in shaping my own musical and artistic style and helped pave the way for me to carve out my own niche.
And how about today?
I definitely gravitate toward the intense, deep kind of music. So, like, maybe that's where that could stem from. But I personally have always gravitated toward electronic music, electronic-based music. I was never really... I just always liked the more cutting-edge, progressive sort of stuff.
Gotcha.
I really liked a lot of the stuff out of England, some of the more alternative stuff like Susie and the Banshees and The Cure and Psychedelic Furs and that new romantic stuff like Flock of Seagulls and that 80s, that kind of new wave stuff always appealed to me.
Yeah.
From a visual standpoint too, their radical, looks and fashion. And the sound was very progressive, and that's what I liked more than in the United States. We had a little bit more rock background, you know?
Yeah. So I guess the answer to my next what would have been my next question, which was, do you think that we've lost anything musically as we've moved more towards electronics? I'm guessing that's a solid no.
Oh, yeah, no, but at the same time, there's a lot of really organic, very, very cool organic projects out there that I really like. There's a lot of, artists that do not incorporate electronic at all. So again, it comes back for me. It comes down to the songwriting. That's number one. And then number two, the intensity, the emotion, the vibe, the feeling is huge. And that's more impactful than any production, because production, technology evolves and changes and then goes back to the past and to the, that's always changing. Right. And, so it's really the song, the craft of songwriting that I think is what lives on universally, timelessly,
Gotcha. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now, one thing I wanted to pick up on, and this is following up from the interview you did. I want to say it was the week before last with Raphael Guns over on Rafi on the Radio's show, and this was something that you had mentioned that because she was focusing a lot on the sexism, the gender roles, and whatnot, the expectations that exist in a lot of industries, but particularly an old boys club like like music production or like drums or which as you come along. But one of the things you'd mentioned was that you'd like to see more women sort of looking out for each other and giving each other a leg up. And Barbara, actually, she was listening to that, and this inspired her to create a new station, the Euterpe Radio. What do you think about that?
And that's great. That's awesome. I do think if women would support each other more, have each other's backs, I think it'd be great. And I know a lot of them do,
Yeah.
But there are some that may be very competitive with one another.
Right.
I have encountered that,
Well, it's a competitive industry. I mean, there's so much out there right now, and I mean, the internet and whatnot helps people get their songs out, but it's very crowded and it's very competitive to try to break out of that and break ahead.
Oh, it is. It's so oversaturated, with everything. I mean, like you said, it's got its good sides because artists can be independent and release their own music and put their art out there, but at the same time, you need to market and promote your product. Otherwise, no one's going to hear it, know about it,
Yeah,
so
that exposure is hard to get.
And unfortunately, sometimes, it takes having a budget to break certain doors down to get the exposure. And most independent artists don't always have access to the finances to really,
right. Well, it's a catch-22, right? You need money to make money, but then you need the exposure to make money, but then you need money to get that exposure.
Exactly. And so I always, back when I first started with my band, was very much about the grassroots promotion, hitting the streets with flyers. You didn't have the social media and all that as much like now, and so you had to really work hard in a different way. And it's still the same in a way. It's just then you sit on a computer and do it. But you have to market and promote yourself as an artist.
Right. Out of curiosity, just in case anybody were to take a trip down memory lane, what was the name of the band?
The band that I had?
Yeah. Oh, I'm talking back then, but...
Back then, I used to go by the name of Issa, which I still do. It was called Issa June.
Issa June. Okay.
And people in LA still remember the band, and I had quite a following back in those days. Again, here locally, and I played some very interesting venues because my sound it was kind of a rock band.
Yeah.
Because we did have the guitar player, bass player, drummer. I had like a percussion rig. I was the main vocalist, of course. Had a really cool little percussion rig up in front of the stage. I used to play accordion. I would play guitar. I would all of a sudden just go and just wail on the drums.
Right.
I was like really into performance. It was fun. I mean, when I look back at it, a lot of people that remember, they were very surprised when I took that break to work more on the business side because I was such a kind of intense artist.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm so happy to be back in that seat again. Of course, I'm, doing something different now.
Yep.
But it's really just an evolved thing. Really, I haven't changed other than the genre I'm doing is different.
Right.
Even though my songs were always written, again, with drum machines and sequencers and all that. But when I got into the live performance aspect, because LA really was always a little bit more of a rock and roll rock town.
Yeah, exactly.
Guns N' Roses.
All
exactly.
These bands all those bands. Yeah, Poison and
because of that backdrop, I think that's why my band had a little bit more of the traditional guitar, drum, bass setup. But I had tracks with all the electronics on it, string arrangements. I mean, I used to incorporate a lot of Middle Eastern, very exotic, Arabic, stuff in there, and it was interesting. And a lot of those recordings are now part of Sony back from when I was signed to the publishing deal. So, I'm hoping that some of the recordings are still very relevant, produced by some major producers like Danny Saber, who produced tons of, he worked with the Rolling Stones, David Bowie, tons of big names. And I work with a lot of top producers, so some of those recordings really are still relevant today. And I think it would be very interesting. And the strangest things have happened, if some of those songs are used in a film or something,
I mean, Are those
available
anywhere? If somebody were to go looking for them, would they be able to find them?
They're not released or anything yet. That might be my secret weapon.
Okay.
They're unreleased material at the moment. It's a pretty large catalog of very interesting music that we'll see if maybe my label will put out.
So you may be releasing that at some point then. That's good to hear.
It's a possibility, yes. And possibly, it could be remixed. It's definitely there in the future cards. But right now, my main focus and my heart is in the new productions and new songs that I've been writing these days. Superstar, obviously, is the current single that you're going to be playing or you just played.
Yeah.
And the next single will be Music is My Remedy, which is, I think, an even stronger song. Actually, we're going to be putting out remixes for that, so that'll be kind of the next official, main release. My goal is I'm going to be releasing, about a new song a month or so.
Oh, okay, so about a month apart. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying. That's sort of more or less. I mean, it might vary. Maybe some months there'll be 2 releases, maybe less. But my aim is to be regularly releasing my own music as well as collaborations, efforts with other artists.
Right.
So that's why, again, issamusic.net is my official website where you can see the current news and releases.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that, and definitely let me know if you want to come back on to do any future promotion. Speaking of promotion, I was curious about one thing, because you're now working with Barbara Sobel Productions, or Promotions rather.
Yes,
yeah.
Sobel Promotions. I'm
so
thrilled to have connected with her, and her network is really incredible, and I've had such a great experience, and really because of her, the song is really having some success. So I can't thank her enough, and all the producers who have remixed Superstar really did an amazing job.
I'm curious though, how working, and this is going to touch upon some of the themes that Rafi touched on in her show. But I'm curious if you have found it any different in terms of your own perception, or perhaps how you've been handled working with a female promoter instead of the more traditional male promoters, because that's for the most part a male dominated role, is it not?
It is, and I actually really like it. And it was, I didn't even think of that until you just brought it up, but you're right. Maybe that's why I feel so comfortable. I mean, she also happens to be so cool, but it could be an element there that I really just feel very comfortable working with her, she's getting the results, and I, of course, plan to deliver good products to her to do her best job. It is a relationship. I mean, it's, she can only do so much. She can get it to her people, but if it's not good work, if the songs aren't there, good productions that, stand out in this oversaturated market,
right.
She can only do so much, my goal is to just keep giving her quality music.
Yeah. And wish you the best of luck with that. And thank you so much for coming on the program. We'll keep an eye out on issamusic.net.
Yeah, that is issamusic.net.
Okay.
Superstar, the remixes, EP, releases to all online music stores on August 10th. Definitely check it out. And I'm here to stay, so just keep yourself posted.
All right, you too. And thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
I'd like to thank Issa again for coming on the program. And before we move on, we will treat you to the Jose Jimenez Latin House remix of Superstar. This was one that she handpicked and recommended for me. So enjoy, and when we're back, we will have Barbara Sobel, founder of Rainbow Radio.
Superstar, tonight it's alright. No matter who you are, it's alright. Tonight, superstar, tonight it's alright. No matter who you are, it's alright. Tonight.
So following up from my earlier guest, I am pleased to be joined tonight by Barbara Sobel of Sobel Promotions. She is currently promoting Issa's work, and I'd like to introduce you to the show. And Barbara, thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So had a very interesting conversation with Issa. We covered a lot of her background, music, coming up through the years and all that. I'm curious how you found working with her. What's your impression of Issa? How's she been?
It's simply amazing, and it's nice to work with an artist who knows what she wants. And I'm basically here to put it into reality. She's been in the music business before, so she knows how to discuss different musical aspects. Mm-hmm. She knows what she's good at.
Yep.
And she has a lot of potential that I'm seeing, and she's done something that's rather amazing. With her first single with me, she has hit every single record pool chart there is.
And she's been all over. She's played every role from performer all the way to producer and everything in between. So
which is why
yeah,
she knows.
definitely, yeah. Now, she was talking with Raphael Guns, Raphael on the radio a couple weeks back. And there was something that she had mentioned that I understand you took some inspiration from, and that was the comment that she had. She kind of wanted to see more women in the industry, kind of having each other's backs and kind of helping each other out. And you kind of took that and ran with it. What tell us a little bit about where that went?
Yes, because I'm psychotic. If I see a need, I will build it. I took personally what she said because I found myself when I first started in this business, I had a lot of issues being a female in the business, which we can get into at another time.
Okay.
So I knew precisely what she was talking about.
Right.
So I started Euterpe? We try to pronounce it.
I think it's Euterpe.
Euterpe music, and Euterpe was the Greek muse of music.
Yes.
And it's a branch of Sobel Promotions for females. And what I'm saying is it's female producers, DJs, artists, anything related to music from a female who want to be known for their musical talents and not their cup size. Because God bless her, Paris Hilton is no DJ. And she's not there for her singing talents or her DJ talents.
Right.
So I don't care what these women look like. They are there because of their talent. And they're going to be judged for their talent.
Yeah. Well, I think of the story of Lady Gaga, where she was just going from club to club like an ordinary person and getting ignored. And it wasn't until she put on the wacky makeup and started doing all the circus act stuff that people started paying attention to her.
And that's just it. That's a problem that women have, that they have to sell their sexuality. And a lot of the times the talent is overlooked.
Right.
So here's a branch of my company. We are strictly going after talent.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm getting a bit of a feminist vibe there. Is that?
You see, I don't like the term feminist.
Okay.
Or any category. I hate Raven Simone. I think she's really stupid on the View, but she said human. Everybody's equal.
Right.
And I could say in my company, gay artists are treated a certain way, black artists are treated a certain way, women are treated a certain way. In my company, everybody is treated equal.
Right.
However, the rest of the world doesn't see it that way.
Right. Well, and I guess that's part of it is, everyone's equal, but some people need a reminder of that from time to time.
Right. That's why they come onto Sobel Island, where we all help each other and we're all equal.
Right.
Nobody's better than another person. You could be a drag queen. You could be an A-list DJ. It doesn't matter.
Right. Gotcha. So, well, one of the things, because you and I have kicked this around a bit before, and I guess absent the label or absent the ism, which unfortunately, I think all labels, all isms end up eventually carrying way too much mental baggage with them, and mean to, they mean whatever the person wants them to mean who you're arguing with.
And that's just it.
Yeah.
Feminism, with, the average person, if you think of feminism, you think of, a man basher.
Right. Right.
That's
well,
what a feminist is.
I think of equal pay. I think of equal treatment under the law. I think of control over your body and control over your life.
And that's with anybody.
Well, yeah, but it seems like only women seem to have to be fighting for that basic right.
The African Americans are fighting for that. And,
all right. Okay. No. Fair enough. To an extent. I mean, you're right. That's true.
The elderly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You want to try to go get a job if you're 65 years old today?
Well, today you can't get a job if you're any.
Yeah, but still, there's a lot of isms. That's just society.
Right.
And feminism, I still see. Come on, protesting in college and hating men and not shaving your armpits. That's. I don't need a title.
Right.
People may be calling me a feminist because I'm a female in a male-dominated profession.
Well, I mean, I think it can be. I think again, and it goes back to a word that means something different to everybody who hears it. Even two people who are coming from the same camp, it doesn't mean quite the same thing to. And yeah, I mean, I would say that you're a feminist for the sake of the fact that you are fighting for promoting women in the industry and whatnot. And again, you've made a name for yourself despite it. For the longest time being an old boys club. And I think there's some feminist cred for that. Whether that means you have to go around hating men or not, I think that's, I don't know. To someone who, I think if you're using feminism to hate men, I think it's just kind of like using religion to hate gays. You know, it's not about the philosophy or the religion. You're just being an asshole.
That's true. That's true. You know, bottom line, I am a female. I couldn't help being born that way. I'm not transgender. I am a female. I'm happy being female.
Right,
but and I happen to be in a field that is dominated by men.
Yeah.
If I was in a different field, it would be dominated by women.
Right.
And the way I was brought up was to be the best at whatever you do. My father told me, if you want to be a garbage man, God bless you. Be the best garbage man there is.
Right.
The best florist. It didn't matter.
Absolutely.
I happen to be a promoter, and I am going to make myself the best promoter, especially since the company has my name on it.
Yep.
There is, female or not. And you could say, like Hillary Clinton, I'm a bitch, I'm this. I've been called every name in the book. I'm the most hated person, and I'm glad about this. In the music business, people who never met me hate me.
Well, hey, you know what? That's you know you've made it when that's the case.
Exactly.
I suppose.
I really don't care. You know, nothing. You never met me and you hate me. God bless. You have enough time to date. I don't. But you know, it just happens to be because I'm a female.
Right.
What am I going to do? Nothing I can do. Couldn't help me more this way.
Except be the best you can be.
And I am.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, okay. Then I guess let's we'll step away from labels for a second. But I also because and again, you and I have conversed on Facebook and other forums. But you have some particularly favorite feminist sites you like to. I'm not going to use the word troll. Perhaps antagonize would be one of the better. By the way, tell me a bit about that because I kind of wonder what you.
I have several radio stations. I'm continuously scouting.
Yeah.
And you never know what I'm going to find. Facebook is your best friend and your worst enemy.
Right.
Because the majority of people on Facebook are role players.
Yeah.
They're fake. You can hide behind a fake name, a fake profile. You can be, it's like the Dungeons and Dragons of the world.
Okay.
You know, it's not reality. It's very nice to have intelligent conversations with somebody. Occasionally.
Rarely.
Yeah, but then when you say, okay, you have all these ideas on Facebook, what are you doing in the real world? And 9 times out of 10, they're doing nothing. This is their entire life. They build their life around being a Facebook king or queen or king of Facebook. But in the real world, they're not doing anything. A true feminist or trueist of anything.
Right.
Yeah, you talk about it. You protest. You do things. But guess what? You do things outside of Facebook.
Yeah.
And that's what I have been finding.
Right.
Me, you know, I'll talk on Facebook, but what am I doing outside of Facebook? Go look at my resume.
Yeah.
You know, if I have a cause once a year, look, I hate people, hate humans. Well, no fact. I hate humans. I love animals. I'm an animal person.
Right.
Once a year, I choose a charity. It was Raju for Wildlife SOS. I am a huge supporter of the Blind Cat Rescue.
Yep.
I put out a charity single where 100% of the proceeds goes to that charity once a year.
Huh.
So it's like you have a passion for anything. If you're a feminist, if you like animals, what are you doing in the real world for that cause?
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, people on Facebook are doing absolutely nothing.
True.
It's not real.
True. Yeah, it's a very good point. I think the term that I was given a while back was slacktivist.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's the cool thing to do, or you think you should act a certain way, or it's like the punk rock movement. It's like, do something. It means, you know, they don't know the reality of it.
Right.
To be an activist is more than posting on Facebook.
Yeah.
Take a look at some of the 60s films and some of the sit-ins.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
And you've got people, not to, and again, every group has its faults and what's not. But I mean, like, you've got the Occupy folks that got out there, and some got arrested and some got assaulted. They didn't get very far. They didn't accomplish much, but they raised awareness. Though.
I wasn't a big Occupy fan.
Uh-huh.
Because, being in New York, I saw the damage that they did to the small-time business owners.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I know I used to work down in that area. I know several shops that they went in, used the bathroom, ruined the bathroom, or
Yeah.
So I wasn't a big Occupy person. God bless that they tried something.
Right.
Got off of Facebook. It wasn't my particular thing, but I can understand it.
Yeah.
But they tried. Most of the people, like you said, on Facebook don't do anything except yell and scream and post articles.
Other people's articles.
Other people's
so
articles.
You haven't even elevated. Most haven't even elevated to the level of blogger yet.
And that's true. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
That's why it's role playing.
Yeah. Well, role. I think that was the name. I mean, I'm getting it. The more and more that we talk about this, I get it. I don't know. I get hung up on the term role player for some reason, but I mean, phony, fake, whatever. Coward is my favorite because I have a lot of not a lot, but a couple of right wing trolls. One of which I've banned him from my blog, but he stalks me on other sites. Like he'll pop up on Media Matters and he's like, "Hey, I'm still banned from your site," and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, and you think I'm going to talk to you about that here? But I've invited him on the air. I've invited him on my show. I can't imagine how many times, a dozen times at least. And it's always, "No, I won't come on your show until I'm back on your blog." And I'm like, I host the show on my blog after it airs. You would be on my blog. He doesn't get it. He doesn't want to do it. He said, why would I settle for a few thousand people when the internet has billions of people? And I'm like, my blog drew 2,000 to 3,000 people in a month. My worst show drew that in one night.
Yeah. I went on one of those ism group and said, you seem really passionate about this subject. Why don't you come on my radio station and tell this to 1 million listeners?
Right.
Oh, you're just showing off. You're doing this. You're doing that. I'm like, I'm offering you a platform, idiot.
Right. Well, and that's just it. Okay, are you showing off? Well, you are a promoter. That is sort of in your blood. But you're making the offer. It's not, oh, look what I'm doing. It's look what I'm giving you a chance to do.
Come write a blog, and I will syndicate it on my station.
Something, yeah. God.
No, because it's less work to live in a fantasy world on Facebook than to be in reality and actually be judged and possibly fail.
God. Oh yeah, no, I know. I always, that's what gets me too, because I get a lot of and I think it comes from the Facebook crowd, and it comes from the we will shout down anybody who disagrees with us. And I know you've been on the receiving end, or I know people have attempted to put you on the receiving end of that.
Oh yeah,
but I love it when somebody says to me, will you just shout down anybody disagrees with you? I'm like, well, no, I called you an idiot because what you said was completely idiotic. But if you'd like to actually have a discussion, and again, it comes back to, come back to my blog or deal with something that I actually posted, or come on the show and we'll have a debate. And, and it's like, nobody wants to do that. But I'm like, you know what? I want to hear from people I disagree with. Hell, I'm a liberal now because of 25 years of listening to people I disagreed with, because I was a conservative in college. I was a Republican in college, and I don't want to say I'm as liberal as anybody, because I do. Well, I have a broad group of friends, and there are plenty of people to the left of me that I'm very comfortable having to the left of me. But I mean, but again, I got to where I am now politically by listening to other people who disagreed with me. So I'm like, you know what? I mean, come on, it'd be a great show and all that. I mean, this one guy, he was posting on my blog for years, and we have a great history of both mutual respect and like just blood hatred at the same time. And I'm going, this would be a great show. Come on. No, won't do it. I'm just like, coward.
Yeah, and that's just it. If you truly believe in your cause, then you would take any outlet that is given to you to get the word out. That's why these people are fake.
Absolutely.
I have no problems. Look, I don't call myself a liberal. I don't give myself a title. I just let anybody do whatever they damn well please. I could care less.
Right.
But I would love a Republican, a Christian Republican, to come on your show and discuss it and have an intelligent discussion.
I'm looking for one. William Johnson, if you are hearing this, I want you on my show. Blogging Caesar, I have sent you 3 emails. You haven't even told me to go fuck myself, so please at least do that, and I'll stop bugging you. I'm looking for these guys. Seriously.
With statistical evidence and rational discussion. The Republican Party, before it turned into the laughingstock that it is now with Donald Trump.
It's been longer than Trump.
Well, Donald Trump. Originally the Democrats came from Republicans. It wasn't bad the way it is now with taking away everybody's rights.
Yeah.
It really wasn't the original Republican Party. There was nothing wrong with the original Republican
well, they
Party.
weren't. You can go back to the. I would say prior to 1964, you'd find regional preference, very strong regional preferences. But within ideology, you had conservative Democrats, you had liberal Republicans.
Absolutely.
There was a wing within each party. And if you look at the map, if you look at the electoral map with 1964, passing the Civil Rights Act, Lyndon Johnson says we've lost the South for a generation. He was wrong only in that he was off by about an order of magnitude. Right. He lost the South for 10 or 20 generations. Right. And it was amazing the way you saw the Democrats all go north and the Republicans all go south in the whole eastern half of the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, and until Barack Obama, from Lyndon Johnson all the way through to Barack Obama, the only Democrats that ever won a southern state were Southerners, Johnson, Carter, and Clinton.
Oh.
You're right. It wasn't, but I don't think we're going back that way because
no, we're not.
Partisanship sells, unfortunately,
Getting worse.
Yeah, no, it's going to get worse, and I don't know. Now, hey, one other thing I want to ask you, because there's also okay, I got to ask you two parts. There's a 2-part question. This is about Hillary Clinton. Now, first of all, what's that?
Fully support. I support Hillary, and everybody yell and scream. The day she announced her candidacy, Sobel Promotions came out and said, we endorse Hillary. Huge fan of her. Huge fan. I even said to my mother jokingly, I will leave my cave and help Hillary get elected.
Well, wait a minute. Have you done that yet? What have you done to help Hillary get elected? Where are you a role player?
I don't love it that much. Leave my cave.
Right. Well, now I will admit, and this is not a recent thing. This is going back a long time. I've never been a fan of either Clinton, either Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
The funny thing was that, and this will show you my evolution, is I didn't like Bill Clinton in the 90s because I called myself a conservative, and I don't like him now because I call myself a liberal.
Okay. So I liked the Clintons. I thought that, country was doing well then. I had a great job, a great paying job.
Oh, it was a great decade. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It was mostly college and starting out for me. So it was a good decade. No, but with and same thing with Hillary Clinton. I mean, I was never on the side of the right. I mean, it's absurd. It is absolutely ridiculous the way the press goes after her. There's no question that, whether it was Whitewater or Vince Foster or now Benghazi, I swear to God, the purpose of this is not to get to the truth, but to maintain the illusion that there's a truth to be gotten to.
And there isn't. It's been proven over and over.
Oh, it's such bullshit. Honestly, I think they should send Daryl Issa a bill for all the 25 million or whatever the hell all these wasted
the whole impeachment. I don't care if Bill Clinton got a blowjob. I really don't care.
But you know what? There was a huge benefit to that. Let me tell you what it was. Now, whenever I argue with a conspiracy theorist, online or in person, and I know a few because I have autistic children, so I run into anti-vaxxers. I'm online, so I run into chemtrail people and all, whatever your conspiracy theory is.
Very simple. If the president of the United States cannot get a blowjob without the entire world finding out about it, you are not keeping the lid on a conspiracy. So I will give Bill Clinton that. He and the rest of that crew pretty much disproved the possibility of conspiracy from this point on.
It was no problem that Eleanor Roosevelt was a lesbian. It was no problem, that the Kennedy brothers were sleeping with Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, yeah,
Condoleezza Rice was sleeping with George Bush.
Well, hell, I mean, half the guys, Newt Gingrich was having an affair the entire time that he was impeaching Bill Clinton for having an affair. Now, here's the thing. I don't care about either one of the affairs, but I do care about the hypocrisy.
Yeah,
the hypocrisy bothers me. The adultery I could really give a shit about, but the hypocrisy bothers me.
It's up to Hillary to decide. Hillary's married to him. If she accepts him, I accept him.
Right. Well, and just getting back to it, I mean, like, I don't count myself a fan of Hillary. I think there are legitimate criticisms of her. I don't actually hear a whole lot of them. I hear a lot of nonsense.
There are legitimate criticisms of any politician.
Absolutely. No question about it.
But the whole thing is, are the criticisms, does it affect the things? Did she probably do illegal acts? Sure she did. Or they all do.
Right.
But does it affect your belief system and the things that matter to you most?
Right. What are the issues and how is she going to...
Right.
Right.
So now, let her do her illegal things. They all do, folks. They all do. None of them are perfect. They all do.
Well, I think that I would go back and I would say they were probably the most honest Democrat and honest Republican that I can think of in my lifetime anyway. And I can only go back so far, but I would say it was Jerry Ford and Jimmy Carter. And I say that, and I would point out that despite them being who I think were the most honest politicians from either party that held the presidency, they were probably the least effective, largely because of that.
There you go.
So I care much less about integrity than I do about effectiveness when you get to that level. Because again, if you care about integrity, stay home and don't vote. Because But the thing, getting back to Clinton, there's a, and I want to get your take because I don't spend a whole lot of time there myself. But there's a pro Hillary Clinton group that you just love to antagonize. And
they got rid of me.
Well, okay, what was that all about? What was your problem? What was the problem that you had with the group?
Was that it was supposed to be a group that was supposed to help get Hillary Clinton elected.
And
they opposed everything else except that.
Like what? I mean, they weren't posting Ted Cruz,
cop killing things, and very racially motivated against cops and black people.
So it was an issues group, basically, not a political.
Yeah, it was like, what does this have? What does, a rock star dying have to do with Hillary Clinton?
Right.
Because, like I said, if it's on Facebook, chances are.
Yeah. Now, one other thing, because again, I know you've been, strong booster Hillary. Let's say, odds against all odds, that somehow Bernie Sanders wins this election. How do you feel about Sanders? I mean, wins the nomination against all odds.
I will vote Democrat no matter what, just because the Republicans are doofuses.
Right.
I have problems with Bernie Sanders. When I'm so Hillary has the name recognition throughout the world that Bernie Sanders doesn't.
Right.
The whole socialist thing. He's never going to get elected.
I don't think. And I was talking with one of my previous guests. With Tara Snover, who ran last night on Tuesday, at the time that we're recording this, and we were talking about that. We're saying if he wins the nomination, you can already hear the Republican attack ads. It's going to be socialism, over and over and over again. But I wonder if I'm getting too old because to me that's a death knell. But she pointed something out, and that's that it's starting to lose its sting, especially in the post-recession world, especially when you've got millennials with bachelor's degrees who are, waiting tables and whatnot. And they didn't come about. They didn't grow up with the sort of constant mantra. They didn't grow up during the Cold War, first of all. And then, of course, with the constant mantra of this is terrible, this is terrible, this is terrible. And I wonder if it would play as well now as it would have even 5 or 10 years ago.
I think it will.
Okay. I mean, personally, I think the Republicans' only chance is to have anybody but Hillary on our ticket. And that's, if there was no other, even if I despised her, and I don't despise her, I'm not a fan, but I don't really have any particular hatred for her like so many do. But at the end of the day, I would much rather see
And the interesting reason is, why do you hate her so much?
Well, I don't.
But why do people hate her so much?
And ultimately, it comes down to a lot of bullshit.
And it's stuff that the press put out their stories.
Oh, the Clinton rules are back in effect again. That was no different with Bill, and it was no different with Hillary when Bill was president.
So what's the problem?
I mean, that's just it. But I guess at the end of the day, and I never trust the early momentum. It's way too early to make any predictions at all. But I'm just like, here's a simple question, folks. Would you rather see Hillary Clinton win or Bernie Sanders lose? Who are you going to vote for?
Hillary.
I mean, that's just it. And I'm like,
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. What's scary? I mean, nobody ever went broke betting on the stupidity of America. I could absolutely see Trump winning that nomination. The only thing is, I don't think he really wants the nomination. I think he wants to be on the platform and bloviate for a while and look at me, and it's a big publicity stunt. But it's like, if you remember the movie The Candidate, I could see him winning. I could see him winning because of the celebrity, because of the...
This is Trump's new reality show.
Well, yeah. But the thing is, he has, with a certain people, I mean, I think he's a clown, and I think most people who are on our side do. But I think there's a scary amount of people who actually have bought into the bullshit that he's this great, successful businessman, and he isn't. He inherited a fortune and he learned how to make the bankruptcy laws his bitch. That's basically the secret of his success.
That's the two adulteries that we know of.
Oh, come on. You just got finished saying they've all had adulteries. Who cares about that?
No. The mention that he stated publicly that he would have slept with his daughter if it wasn't his daughter.
Oh, that, yeah. There's a lot of ways to say that my daughter is a beautiful woman. That is not one of them.
Yeah. But you're right. No, the adultery thing. But the thing that gets me is that, he committed adultery. He's divorced. Yeah. But he's against gay marriage. He's for traditional marriage.
Well, there's a great line at the end of it's Betty Bowers, a.k.a. Devin Green, who I'm going to have on the show probably mid-August. But one of her videos about traditional marriage ends with the tagline, 4 out of 5 divorced evangelical Christians believe marriage is sacred.
There you go. I love all these, these Republicans who are against gays and gay marriage. Yet and all these people quitting because they don't want to give marriage licenses.
Oh, good. Well, good. Fine. Good riddance. That's what I say.
But still, are they checking to make sure that the females are virgins and killing them if they're not?
Well, I know. And that's why I want to get, I still have to get Pamela Raintree on the show, who actually, and I'll tease this now, guys, but although I still have to schedule her, she actually took a rock, a big rock for that matter, about the size of my head, to a town council meeting and challenged the speaker, one of the councilmen, to stone her as should have been done for the Bible. And it's like, I'm like, wow, that's something, and it is ridiculous that they love to say that liberals are the ones cherry picking. And yet, and again, it goes back when I was just doing the blog. I found a website that had 603 laws in the Old Testament. And that was the number they gave, 603 or so. It was over 600 laws. And a lot of them, if you're, a lot of them actually are still in practice if you're Jewish, because that's where a lot of the kosher stuff comes from and whatnot. But if you're not, then they're pretty much gone by the wayside. Most of us eat shrimp. Most of us wear mixed fabrics. Most of us, there was like a dozen different rules on how to treat your slaves. I mean,
Right.
So, and then there was that one thing about being gay. And I'm like, wait a minute. Now, if you name any one of those other laws, they're going to say new covenant, but not homosexuality. That one we're keeping. Well, who said you could keep that? Did Jesus say keep that? Because Jesus never said that once in the entire New Testament. Not one time. Never mentioned it once.
Well, it's, all religions, and I was born Jewish, are a set of rules and regulations to prevent free thinking. Period.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a means of control.
Right. Yeah. And the Christians are the ones that want to take over the United States, forgetting about the atheists, the pagans, the Satanists,
right?
The Scientologists. Yeah, Scientologists.
Well, some of those people need to be taken over.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what? They're trying to impose Christian values on society.
Right, and I put the word values in some very bold quotation marks there.
Oh yeah.
You know. But the funny thing, now this is my favorite tact, is to basically ask them what's wrong with Iran. And they'll tell you about how they treat women and how they treat gays and how they force everybody to be a certain religion and they punish you if they don't. And I'm like, okay, great. So if they're so terrible, why are you trying to make us more like them?
There you go. There you go.
And the other one, and this one I got from Tara, and I don't know, unfortunately there was a glitch in the show and something got double played, and I don't know if this part came through, but she was saying how one of the things she likes to do is she'll ask somebody, she said, hey, did you hear about that Christian kid who was threatened in school by bullies, and they were told they'll beat him up or they'll stab him with a knife if he comes back, and they're all up in arms. Oh my God, no, I can't believe that happened. She says, oh, wait, I'm sorry. Did I say Christian? I meant gay.
There you go. Well, piggybacking on that, the Republicans just shot down a bill that would prevent bullying against LGBT students.
I saw that. I reblogged it, and that was actually for the first time in a couple months. I got a note from this very troll that is all butthurt about me banning him from my blog. But he sends me an email, and he says something to the effect of, well, this never would have happened if you weren't trying to shove your radical gay agenda down everybody's throats. And I'm sitting here like, we're talking about not beating up children.
And that's just it.
How is that a radical part of anything? I mean, even if you wanted to, and this is where I say the Republican politicians have totally just lost any ability to lead. I mean, if you're a John Boehner or a Mitch McConnell and you don't want to have your name on a pro-LGBT bill, fine. Then make it a general bullying bill that happens to include those people, as opposed to the hate crime laws in so many states, which exclude LGBT as a protected class. And I'm sorry, but if, why do I have to define it? If I kill somebody because of who they are, it's a hate crime whether they're a protected class or not. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy that they are for the bullying of children.
Yeah,
plain and simple.
And there was no amendment, no way of making this maybe a more general thing or making it look like it wasn't focused that way, but that it would still effectively protect those kids. No, I mean, we're going to shoot it down so that children can get beat up with impunity. I mean, you're right. It's psychotic.
How can any human being
vote
accept a party that is for bullying children,
and
possibly killing them?
Well, I mean, the other one, and I've brought this up many times now because this, I think, is it's one of the most astounding things, and it doesn't get talked about a lot. One of the reasons it doesn't get talked a lot. This is why the Republicans keep bringing up bathroom bills and stuff like that when it comes to transgender issues, because they really don't want to get to the important stuff, like the fact that transpanic defense is a legal defense for murder in 48 of 50 states. I thought it was 49. Tara corrected me the other night, but 48 states, meaning that if I kill somebody because I find out they're trans, that's not an aggravating circumstance. That's a mitigating circumstance. That is insane. And I don't even really care how you feel about transgender people. That's just insane. Wow, I found out something about them, so I killed them because I don't like those people. I don't care what that thing is. How the hell can that be a defense?
Plenty of people I'll be killing them. How many times have we gone into a club with a male and female bathroom when we were younger in college?
Yeah.
I mean, a bathroom, is that freaking important?
Right.
I mean, you go into McDonald's and they have one bathroom.
Well, you know what though? You gotta love when they have a male and a female bathroom, but each one only has one head in it.
Yeah.
It's like, what is the point of this? It's the same equipment here, guys. It's not, I mean, I can kind of sympathize if it's a whole bunch of stalls or something, I guess. Personally, I don't care. I'm not heartless, though. I understand some people do.
People have separate bathrooms in their homes, one for the men and one for the women.
Well, that was the thing that I saw somebody bring that up. Is it's like most of us have been using unisex bathrooms in our whole lives, unless you have male and female bathrooms in your house.
Exactly. Who cares?
And as Julian brought up, he mentioned, because he said over in Germany, not only the bathrooms are basically unisex, but he said even like the locker rooms, the changing rooms are. Yeah, and I'm like, I mean, again, Personally, I'm indifferent to that, but I'm sitting here going, there is no way that you couldn't get 5 seconds into that conversation in this country.
Right.
And on a proposal like that. I mean, you had a gym like that, you'd be out of business.
Of course.
I mean, it's not even.
Well, welcome to our world. We're going backwards where signs are permitted. We do not serve gays. Or, we're going backwards.
Well, except that we're not. And this is one of the great things is if you look at the backlash in Indiana, because that was the big one. And the funny thing is a lot of these have had these sort of quote unquote religious freedom bills for a long time. But Indiana did a couple little tweaks. Couple little legal tweaks that make them sound the same, but they wouldn't be implemented the same way. And the backlash was huge. And not just public, but corporations pulling out. And I mean, when the big money decides they're going to abandon the Republican Party, that's a very perverse sign of progress.
But the fact that people are thinking this way in the 21st century, you didn't see it during Bill Clinton's time.
Well, no, because Bill Clinton's big gay thing was don't ask, don't tell, which is, no, but see, I'm going to call him out on that because all that does is legally codify discrimination. If you put anything other than the word gay in that, if we find out you're black, you're fired. It would seem absurd.
That had to be going on for us to get to where we are now. You could have just stopped me first.
God. I know, but what did it actually do? It didn't do anything. If you were gay, you were still out.
Okay. Didn't do anything. It didn't hurt anybody.
Well, all right, but see, this is what I say when I say that I hate Bill Clinton. I don't hate Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was an effective president. Bill Clinton was an effective administrator. But I hate the triangulation and the compromise and the idea that he was this great liberal when you look at his record of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, Defense of Marriage Act, North American Free Trade Agreement, the 96 Telecom Monopoly Bill, the repeal of Glass-Steagall. This guy ran up a Republican record in any other decade.
But, but the thing is, they're different now. My mother originally didn't like gays. Now she marches in gays parades. People change during the time.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? And I want to bounce this idea off you. Personally, I think the single person who did more for gay, really gay issues in general, but let's just say gay rights or acceptance, tolerance, whatever, more than any other individual was Fred Phelps and the Westboro Baptist Church. Honestly, I think that the way that they went about their particular brand of hate was so appalling and so offensive that even if you were indifferent or even a little bit against gays or, just the conventional, sort of background latent homophobia that we've had in this country forever, as soon as you saw those guys protesting in front of veterans' funerals and stuff like that, you just sit there going, you know what?
Gay.
I don't care. I don't even care what they're protesting, whatever it is. I don't want to be like them. And I swear they drove more people from the middle away from the anti-gay movement, as it were. And
they got more Republicans though.
Well, but that's all they got, and they got a lot of people that they were going to have anyway. I mean, the Republicans didn't need. They had the evangelical Christians. They didn't really need. Again, I think they lost the middle with it, and I think that a lot of the progress that we've seen in the last 10 or 15 years. And I hate to say it, don't get me wrong. I despise Fred Phelps. I despise the Westboro Baptists. I'm certainly not glorifying them, but honestly, I think everything they did backfired. Assuming that this wasn't their plan, that this wasn't their sort of, reverse psychology plan all along.
We have more hatred in our country now for one reason and one reason only. We have a black president.
Right. But, and this is my litmus test for finding out where people are, though. Whose fault is it that we have all this hatred?
The Republicans.
Okay, thank you. Because I come from a Republican family, and my Republican father, who's not a huge fan of Obama's, going, man, you know what? Ever since he's been in office, it just keeps getting worse. We're more racially divided now than ever. And I'm sitting here going, but what has he done that's caused that? He's tried to talk about race intelligently and I mean, like, he has not gotten up there banging his shoe like he is not Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson, etc.
No, he isn't, and he's done more for this country.
Yeah.
You know, even Forbes magazine said he's one of the best presidents we've had in our lifetime, and they're
Right.
Republican.
Right.
You can't doubt what he has done. Imagine what he would have done if he didn't have everybody cock blocking him the entire time.
Oh, well, no, I mean, it's amazing to think of what could have been, you know. Well, and there's that, but there's also that first 2 years. And one of the guys that I've been trying to recruit from you, and Jeremy, if you're listening to this, I'm still trying to recruit you, man. But one of the things he said, he was going to write a book at one point called The Tragedy of Obama, discussing those first 2 years in which it seemed like it was more of his goal to play nice and make friends with the Republicans than to actually accomplish anything, seemingly oblivious to the fact that these guys were not going to go along with you no matter what.
Right.
You know, Mitch McConnell actually said in public at one point, and it wasn't right away. I think it was like towards the end of that first year. Well, my party's number one priority is going to be making Barack Obama a one-term president. Right. Oh, so not jobs, not the deficit, not the economy, you know, not foreign policy, not the environment. Fucking over Obama. That's going to be your number one priority.
And the reason why he's black.
Yeah, yeah. Because you know what, and they say, oh, well, didn't they do the same thing to Bill Clinton? And I mean, aside from the fact that, yes, they actually impeached Bill Clinton because they found some obscure technicality that they could do that on. No, Bill Clinton did not get anywhere near the level of disrespect. Bill Clinton was at least recognized as a legitimate presidency. His legitimacy was not questioned.
I hate to use these words. They've called him a nigger.
Uh-huh.
They've called his wife an ape.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, and that guy out in, Washington. It was that mayor out in Washington who did it. And then under pressure to resign, he says, I'm not going to resign because that would prove I was a racist. And I'm like, no, not resigning just proves you're an idiot. But I'm like,
you know,
oh my God.
They went after the two daughters about what they're wearing. I mean,
well, but to be fair, well, no, actually, you're right though. But now it's everybody. Now it's this mainstream thing. But rewind to 1993, and this was when Rush Limbaugh had his television program. I don't even remember
they
that.
called Chelsea a dog.
Well, they said, hey, you know, because I guess the Clintons had a cat or something. Socks or whatever, mittens, whatever the fucking name was. And yeah, Limbaugh's big joke was, well, and you know, we want to also let you know the Clintons also have a dog, and they put up a picture of a Chelsea. Then I want to say 13-year-old Chelsea Clinton. Now, first of all, I mean, putting aside that
these are the same Republicans that think that children should be bullied. What do you?
I know. Well, that was one. I mean, and again, at the time, you know, I counted myself as a Republican. I voted for Bob Dole, and I'm not proud to admit that now, but I had I was a different person then. But I was listening to the show, and I remember when that happened, and I'm just like, even as a fan at the time, it wasn't as bad. He delivered that message in a much more palatable way at the time to try to draw people in. It wasn't just it wasn't like it is today back then. The message was the same, but it was packaged a little bit more palatably. Right. But when he did that stunt, and I immediately, and I was a fan, I'm just like, you're telling me you have one of the largest national platforms in existence. You know, you have the political ear of everyone in Washington, and you're going to use your time to make fun of a 13-year-old girl like a schoolyard bully.
Right.
And I'm like, now at that point, I don't know how anybody can take you seriously after that. And yet, you know, 20 years later, he was still relevant. He's not relevant anymore. It took calling Sandra Fluck a slut to finally people to wake up to what a jackass this guy is. But, you know, he was relevant for a good 20 years.
You know, one of the things that I'm going to give it to Howard Stern, he's done some crazy things. He would never stoop that low.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with Howard Stern, though, is he was challenging the squares. He was pushing the boundaries up. He was never punching down.
Right.
And that was the thing
people try to be shock jocks and do it a different way.
But you gotta punch up. You never punch down. Number one rule of comedy: never punch down. And that's what these conservatives don't get when they say, well, Limbaugh's just or whoever, you know, because Limbaugh's not really relevant anymore. But whoever it is, pick your guy Glenn Beck or Hannity or whatever. And you know, they'll say something outrageous like that, and they'll be called out on it. So, oh no, it was a joke or whatever. And it's like
you leave the spouses who are innocents.
Yeah,
you leave the children out of any fight.
I mean, that's not even I mean, yeah, and yet again,
if you're in the mafia, you don't go after the wife and children.
I know, seriously, right?
You don't.
Oh, wow.
You mean the mafia has more standards than the Republicans?
More or less, but that's not all that surprising. Oh, God. Well, hey, it's been great talking to you. I got to wrap up, and thanks so much for coming to the program. We'll definitely have to continue this at some point.
Oh, we have to. We got a lot more to talk about.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Okay.
Well, we've gone way over, so I'll make this quick. Questions, comments, suggestions, send them to niceguy9418 at usa.com. Love to hear from you, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday listening to Rainbow Radio.